It comes as no surprise that the act of terrorism is centered around a person's intention to harm others. The 9/11 occurrence shows a clear indication of the extent to which terrorism can severely alter the world around us. In the world of microbiology, the 19th century discoveries made by Louis Pasteur, Robert Koch, and others allowed for the systematic isolation of pathogens, which enabled numerous possibilities, including a new form of attack, bioterrorism. Bioterrorism can devastate what many of us might take for granted, our own health. Though less outwardly violent, biological warfare can have the same seriously detrimental consequences on a living population as can the use of traditional weaponry. Bioterrorism is characterized by the deliberate release of viruses, bacteria, toxins, and other harmful agents in order to fulfill damaging personal or political agendas. These agents can have a major impact on public health by affecting individuals or, on a larger scale, by causing mass casualties. In comparison to other forms of terrorism, bioterrorism is simple in creation. The necessary materials are ubiquitous, people need very little knowledge or training, and the agents are easy to produce. Additionally, its effects are not immediately apparent as agents can be spread conveniently through food, air, or water sources, and because the immune response is initially typical of other commonplace illnesses. Agents of bioterrorism can be broken down into three main categories. Category A, which are agents that result in high mortality with detrimental effects on public health. Category B, which are agents that spread easily and have typically lower associated mortality rates. And Category C, which are emerging pathogens that have potential to majorly impact public health. In a time where antibiotic resistance is on the rise and people are foregoing vaccinations, we need to consider prevention and response plans for these fatal attacks.
The highest priority agent in bioterrorism is Category A. These agents are known to pose the highest risk to national security because they can be easily transmitted from person to person, and they also result in high mortality rates. From left to right, some of these examples of the Category A agents are anthrax, botulism, smallpox, Ebola, and tularemia. These pathogens are rarely seen in the United States. Anthrax are spore-forming bacteria that can be found in the soil, and it can also be divided into different types of diseases or different ways that it can be transmitted, three being cutaneous, inhalational, and also gastrointestinal. So this is just a slide just kind of overviewing the different agents within Category A and also their clinical manifestations. And cutaneous anthrax actually has an incubation period of about 5 days and can cause complications such as toxic shock and potentially death within 6 hours in people who go untreated for longer than that. Inhalational anthrax, they have an incubation period of about 1 to 5 days, and this includes the inhalation of spores. This can also cause toxic shock and death within about 23 to 36 hours, so this has a little bit longer period. As mentioned before in the introduction, bioterrorism is the deliberate release of viruses, bacteria, or toxins to cause death or illness. Biological agents are often used because they are hard to detect and they have extremely harmful effects. With this being said, people affected by a bioterrorism attack of this category, Category A, need to take special action and precautions and seek immediate care after being infected. For the anthrax example, you get diagnosed with very specific chest x-rays or with blood tests that show the bacilli. And also treatment plans can include antibiotics, and the chance of survival increases with the shorter amount of time that you've been exposed to these agents. As far as spores go, they can last for very, very long periods of time, just undisturbed, in the soil. And this slide actually shows just their life cycle and how they're transmitted from the soil to an animal, and then the animal dies if it goes untreated. This last slide is actually showing how careful you have to be when you're handling these agents of this category. You have to be completely covered and protected to prevent exposing yourself to these agents.
The second highest priority agents, category B, contains food and waterborne pathogens which can be harmful if affected and needs specific diagnosis treatment listed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Category B agents are moderately easy to spread or disperse throughout the body and can also cause moderate illness and low mortality. This category can also be spread through inhalation, human-to-human contact, and through gastrointestinal tract. Few classified category B pathogens are Q fever virus, Mediterranean fever virus, mosquito-borne alpha viruses, Rickin toxin, typhus fever, and Clostridium perfringens. In the immediate results of a covert attack, specimens containing critical biological agents might be submitted to the laboratory for routine processing before the presence of the agent was even suspected. The viruses for category B can be destroyed by heating them at 80 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes and can also be destroyed by standard disinfection. The toxin can be detected from serum and tissue samples by a specific immunoassay.
The third highest priority agents, Category C, contain pathogens that could possibly be created for mass dissemination in the future because of 4 reasons. The first reason being availability of the agents. They are easy to make and can easily be spread. They have potential for high mortality rates and are likely to cause a major health impact. Category C agents can be classified as the most fluctuating group because new information on these certain agents are constantly being discovered. A few classified Category C pathogens are Nipavirus, hantavirus, tick-borne fever viruses, yellow fever, and multi-drug-resistant tuberculosis. Like the other 2 categories, Category C is also spread mainly through inhalation, human-to-human contact, and the gastrointestinal tract. Once a bioterrorism attack has been identified, it is important to know how to respond. The first victims of the attack will need immediate attention from a physician or other healthcare providers. Public health officials will be responsible to determine that the attack has happened and are responsible for identifying the organism. Once the organism has been identified, prevention strategies are used and infection control procedures are practiced. At large, the majority of the responsibility for diagnosis and management of diseases are in the hands of the medical community. Ensuring sufficient drugs, laboratory reagents, antitoxins, and vaccines is critical. Bioterrorism remains a large threat both nationally and internationally. Being prepared can go a great distance in minimizing the morbidity and mortality of potential attacks.